One of the late Charles Njonjo's lowest moments in life was when he was accused of plotting to kill the then President Daniel Arap Moi. He stood trial for 1 year before he was set free. His lawyer, Paul Muite, read a sinister motive in the accusations against Njonjo. A veteran journalist, Emman Omari, also gives his reflections of the Njonjo trial.
The law does not see, the law has no hands. But now, those who practice law here.
Born January 23, 1920, Charles Njonjo was the son of the late Josiah Njonjo, a paramount chief and one of the foremost collaborators of British colonial rule in Kenya. After completing his secondary education at Alliance High School in Kikuyu, Njonjo enrolled at Fort Hare University in South Africa, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in English and South African law. He graduated in 1946 and returned to Kenya, but had the burning ambition to study law and be called to the bar. In 1947, Njonjo moved to England to study public administration at the University College of Southwest of England through a scholarship by the colonial administration. Njonjo completed his studies in 1949, but rather returning to Kenya, he began studying law with the view of being called to the bar.
When the colonial government discovered that he was doing law, they even stopped his stipend and he was on the streets. He actually, unlike people think about Njonjo, he did odd jobs in London to make ends meet. Fortunately, one lawyer, British lawyer, noticed him and he took him to his bar.
However, Njonjo was eventually called to the bar in 1952, becoming the second Kenyan African barrister after Agwin Skodhek, who had been called to the bar in January 1951. It is in 1963 that Njonjo was appointed Attorney General under President Jomo Kenyatta.
Iko na waziri wa mambo ya sheria, Bwana Njonjo. Ndiye huyo.
He nipped in the bud attempts by the so-called Kiambu Mafia, who did not want Moi to succeed Kenyatta upon Kenyatta's death. And the statement he issued one-liner that it is treason to imagine, compass the death of our president.
It is true that one can never be king when the kingmaker is around. That was the long and the short of it. But I've never seen a person more loyal than Mr. Njonjo was to the late Daniel Arap Moi.
Charles Njonjo entered into parliament in April 1980 after retiring as Attorney General at the age of 60, a post which he had served for 17 years. He had considered politics for over a decade, but hesitated due to lack of a popular base.
One of his greatest achievements, which I trust writers of history will acknowledge, was how he nearly single-handedly, almost single-handedly, managed the transition from the first president, the late Jomo Kenyatta, to the second president, the late Daniel Arap Moi.
Everybody in the lobby would stand up, including ministers. That was Njonjo's power.
In June 1980, Njonjo was elected for a newly created cabinet position by Daniel Arap Moi as Minister for Home and Constitutional Affairs during an expected cabinet reshuffle. However, after the attempted coup of 1982, Moi decided to purge his party, and cabinet of figures he had established wanted him out of power. Chief among them will be Njonjo, who was dragged through a judicial inquiry which concluded that he had abused office and had tried to take over power from Moi. He was forced to resign, effectively destroying his political career.
I can make this public statement to you, which I'm making now, that there was no scintilla of truth in the allegation that Mr. Njonjo wanted to carry out a coup against the late president, Daniel Arap Moi. Not a scintilla of truth in that allegation. The whole idea of stage managing this commission of inquiry was to politically get rid of Mr. Njonjo.
Among the recommendations is that Njonjo was guilty, and that one was treasonable. Another one is that he had misappropriated funds of the disabled. So Moi, on an official day, I think it was on Jamhuri Day, he went to Uhuru Park and announced he had forgiven everything in that report against Njonjo, except he must refund. I think it was 10,000. 10,000 was a lot of money at that time. The funds for the disabled, which he did.
While at the age of 51 years, Njonjo married Margaret Bryson in 1972, with whom he has 3 children, Wairimu Njonjo, Nimu Njonjo, and Josiah Njonjo. Njonjo lived a quiet private life away from cameras. Njonjo briefly stepped out in 2007 when he declared his support for Raila Odinga during the 2007 presidential election. Since then, he chose a very quiet life, only appearing occasionally on television interviews. Ben Chumba, Sunday Express.